G'day model builders. In my last how-to video, I showed you how to use artist acrylic paints on scale models. But while that setup works really well for general colours, things like leather, wood or other detail painting, it's not ideal when you need something more specific. Colours like rough sky, dark earth, dark green. Those aren't just close enough colours, they're defined standards. And if you want consistency and repeatability, you need a different approach. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I mix precise, repeatable colours using artist acrylics, and how you can use the same system to match just about any paint standard you come across. And to demonstrate the process, I'm going to use this 1/72 scale Spitfire Mark I from the Battle of Britain and mix the three main camouflage colours from scratch. I'll show you how it's done. Now, the idea of mixing your own colours might sound complicated, but it's actually built on something very simple. All colours can be broken down into a combination of just a few base components. In this case, we're going to use 5: cyan, magenta, yellow, black, and white. With those 5 paints, you can mix virtually any colour. But to make that work in a practical, repeatable way, you need 2 things. First, you need to know exactly what's in your paint. And second, you need to control how you mix it. That's where pigment codes come in. Every artist acrylic paint is made up of specific pigments, and those pigments are identified by standard codes. Once you understand those codes, you can match paint across different brands and know that you're working with the same base colours. So for this system, I'm using a set of paints that are all made from single pigments. For cyan, I'm using a paint based on PB15-3, often labelled as phthalo blue, green shade. For magenta, it's PV19, commonly called quinacridone red. For yellow, it's PY74, usually sold as Hansa yellow or azo yellow. And then for the opaques, titanium white, PW6, and lamp black, RBK7. Now, the exact brand you use isn't critical, but they do need to come from the same range. That way, you can assume the pigment load and behaviour are consistent across all of the paints you want to mix. Once you've got your paints sourced and in your hot little hands, the next step is setting them up so they behave consistently. And this is where precision really starts to matter. Instead of working by eye, everything here is done by weight. I'm using a small scale that measures to 0.01 grams, and I'm setting up each paint at a 1-to-1 ratio of paint to reducer. So the process is simple. Start by placing the empty bottle on the scale and zeroing it. Add your paint and note the weight. Then zero the scale again and add reducer until you reach the same weight. Add an agitator bead, cap it, and mix thoroughly. Repeat that for each of your base colours. And now you've got a set of paints that are consistent, predictable, and ready to mix. Now, ideally, you'll leave these for a day or two before using them, just to let everything fully combine. But once they're ready, we can start mixing colours. The first colour I'm mixing here is Rough Sky, BS381C210. This is the underside colour on the Spitfire, and it's also one of the least forgiving. If it's off, you'll see it straight away. To get the mix, I'm using a digital reference. There are a number of sources for this, but the key idea is to take a known colour value, typically an RGB code, and convert that to a paint recipe. I'm using an app to do that conversion, but the important part isn't the app itself, it's the consistency. Once you've got a reliable source, you can use the same process for any colour. So for Rough Sky, the mix by weight comes out as follows. Titanium white makes up the majority of the mix. Then smaller amounts of yellow, magenta, and cyan. And there's no black in this case. Working from largest to smallest, I add each component directly into the mixing bottle and measure as I go. Because everything is already reduced to the same consistency, the ratios stay accurate and the result is repeatable. Once it's mixed, it goes straight into the airbrush. And that's where you start to see the benefit of the system. The paint goes down smoothly, covers well, and most importantly, it looks right. From there, I moved on to the next colour, RAF Dark Earth, BS 381C 350. Same process. Reference the colour, convert it to a mix, and measure it out. In this case, the balance shifts more towards yellow and magenta with a small amount of white and a touch of cyan. It's a darker, warmer colour, and you'll notice it behaves slightly differently. Coverage isn't quite as strong as sky, so it takes a few more passes to build up. But again, because the mix is controlled, the result is consistent. The final camouflage colour is RAF Dark Green, BS 381C 241. And once again, it's the same workflow. Reference, convert, measure, mix. This one has a stronger cyan component balanced with yellow and magenta. Just a small amount of white. It looks very dark in the bottle, but once it's on the model, it settles into exactly the tone you'd expect. And with that, camouflage is complete. 3 colours, all mixed from the same 5 base paints. All consistent and all repeatable. Now I want to be clear about one thing. You don't have to do this. There are plenty of excellent model paints available, and I still use them myself. But for me, this system gives a level of control that I really like. If I need a specific colour, I can make it. If I run out, I can mix more. And if I want to adjust something, I know exactly how to do it. It also means I'm not limited by what's available in the hobby shop. If I've got these 5 paints, I've got everything I need. And once you've set the system up, it becomes very straightforward. You're not guessing, you're not eyeballing, you're just following a process. Now, if you want to take this a step further, I'll be releasing a series of short videos that focus on individual paint recipes. Specific colours, exact measurements, quick and easy to follow. And those will tie directly into the builds where I'm using them. If you want to see how these colours actually come together on a finished model, the full Spitfire build is on the channel. That's where all of this gets put into practice. I'll show you how it's done.